Okay, can you hear me, Sheldon?
Guys, it's been a crazy week in crypto. Again, yesterday we had FOMC. Things came out quite hawkish. We thought maybe positive, but ultimately starting another pullback within the market. And now we're at a very interesting level. Firstly, we're sitting on the major trend line. We're sitting on the major horizontal. We have Bitcoin sitting just at around $25,000. We have Ethereum sitting at the major level on the trend line of around $1,640 as things speak. We are now at the very, very, very critical support trend line when it comes to the two big daddies. And now we have possibilities of maybe some issues happening with USDT. And we're going to be speaking a lot about that. I have my teammate here that's going to be helping us a lot with understanding, because I think the big concern that we have right now is if you jump to these major charts over here and we jump to the higher time frames and we look at where are the things like AVAX, where are the things like Cardano, where are things like Solana on their last lines of support. So what we're starting to get now is a combination of FUD, a combination of fear. And we know this feeling before. We've actually had them very similar to the FTX time where everything was just very, very, very bad. But what's crazy now is we're sitting at support and we have these huge gaps. Guys, if AVAX does not hold these levels here, is there a possibility of another 60% collapse within altcoins? Like if you have a look at that, you have a look at Cardano, it's showing another 55% on the weekly as the next support. Is this FUD real? Is it really getting that bad? Is there a problem with USDT? Because I think there is. This is a possibility that this can play out. And we got Random Man. What's happening, bro?
There's definitely something going on with USDT. There's no doubt about that. I mean,
dude, we on support, bro. And this is the thing. If this plays out, we spoke about a BNB. We spoke about these crazy levels. And now we have so much FUD happening and we're on critical support. It's important now.
I think we need to go through what's going on USDT and then see how that affects the rest of the market. I think that's probably what we need to look at. So for those of you who are not paying attention, you have USDT depegging from USDC or from US dollar. So you can see that right now, one USDT is only equal to 99.713 USDC. So what does that mean? It means that the market is pricing in, for some reason, that one USDT is actually not worth $1. That's what the market's telling you. The market's saying, look, actually one USDT is not worth $1. So why would that happen? Let's look at a couple of reasons why that would happen. If someone thinks, for example, now these are all examples, it's all speculation, right? But if someone thinks that there's going to be DOJ action against Tether, let's just say, and again, I don't have any information about this whatsoever. I'm just saying if that were the case, people would want to sell out of their USDT and get into something safer, right? That would be one of the reasons why somebody would sell their USDT. Or if they thought that USDT wasn't backed one for one, then they may want to get out of USDT and get into the safer option, which is USDC. Now, the Depeg is not a bad Depeg. So if you look at the Depeg, it's still 0.997. So why is this happening? Well, it's happening because of what's going on at Curve. So Curve, for those of you who don't know, Curve is an exchange where you can trade primarily stable coins against stable coins. That's what it is. So it's you can trade one stable coin for another stable coin. And they put these stable coins into pools. So here's the pool. I'll show you an example of the pool. This is a DAI USDC USD pool. So it's like a pool where if you want to swap DAI for USDC or USDC for USDT, you're basically swapping inside this pool. So you use this pool to swap. So you take some USDT, you swap for USDC. In fact, let me see if I've got a better visualization. Hold on a second. There should be a June dashboard that actually has a better visualization of it. So here it is. So you can see that there's a certain ratio that is where the percentage of USDT is of the pool. Now, of course, the percentage of USDT of the pool is always going to be the most because USDT is the biggest stable coin, right? But you can see that now the percentage of USDT has gone up a lot. Right now in this pool, 46.1% is USDT. So what does that mean? It means that people are selling all their USDT and they're buying the other stable coins and they don't want their USDT. Okay, that's what's going on here now.
That's interesting. Why?
Okay, so there we go. So this is the question. Now, what this could be, could just be a little temporary Depeg. It could be a little temporary Depeg. It could be that someone knows something that insiders know something that we don't know. Who knows? It's there is a reason. It's not a massive Depeg, but it is a Depeg, and that's what the market is actually starting to worry about today. And that's why the market has come down because that's what's happening. Now, let's quickly play this out and say, if USDT does Depeg, I'm not saying it will, I don't think it will, but let's just say hypothetically that it does Depeg. What usually happens is people have to run out of USDT. So where do they go? In the last couple of times that this has happened, they've gone into Bitcoin. So they get out of their USDT and they say, look, I don't want to be holding USDT anymore. What am I supposed to hold? And what they do is they go and sell everything and they buy Bitcoin, and maybe this time they're going to buy ETH. Or they buy USDC. Problem with USDC is at some point, if it does Depeg, one USDT might be worth 110. Sorry, one USDC maybe with 110 USDT, that's not good. That's what the market's worrying about now. I'm going to do on my show today, I'm going to cover the whole what's going on. We're digging into it. We're looking to get all the reasons for it, etc., etc. That's what I'm going to be doing on my show today. I think on your show, you should probably look at the charts, and then you could look at the charts against USDT and USDC.
And I think we got to speak about, like, what does this mean if that does happen? Like, that does the market, we just said, does it go into Bitcoin? But Bitcoin's on support right now. And if it doesn't go into it, like, is this a part of a low 20K Bitcoin? Is this a part of the low? Like, could that happen from something like this? You can't deny right now it's FUD. And it's getting to that uncomfortable point again. But we do have this crazy gap happening within many altcoins. And it's the sad truth of it. And again, Run, why I appreciate you jumping on the show with me. I think it's a time to look at our long-term or look at our bigger portfolio and just see how to stable and mentally get through this period, and to understand that if that big thing plays out, what do we do? And if it doesn't play out and it's a fake thing, is this a huge buying? Because right now, you're literally sitting with Bitcoin and everything's sitting at incredible supports. You have literally Bitcoin sitting on the major trend line. It has lost the 200 weekly, still above the 200 daily, which is important, and it's still above trend. And technically, if you look at with the RSIs, everything's getting more or less to the oversold territory. Now, is there one last capitulation wick? Is there something that really sends us down? Because if Bitcoin does lose this trend, you're now opening the possibilities of a $19,000 and even a $17,000 Bitcoin again. And will something like the USDT Depeg or something like that make that happen? And I think that's a big thing. What are we looking for here? Because if it doesn't happen and something just happens, because it's showing that at some point we're going to have some buyers, is this the time to buy? How do we navigate this? And this is why I want random mentals and the experience. You've been through this game. You've been through this crunch time. And what we said the last time was we should be nearly getting to the end. There maybe still be a few more months or so, but this is the last phase where all the shit dies out, right? Everything starts to come down, and it's like, we just got to get through the survival period. And I think, what do we do? I think it's a big thing. Look, I'm not a long-term investor, but it's like, let's play this out. Let's play this out. And is there another $8 Solana? Is Solana cheap right now? Is there, like, it's these questions. It's because if you don't buy now and the market bounces, we could be back 50% up in the next 2 weeks. And we didn't buy because maybe we were going to have a 50% collapse.
I think you need to ask yourself two questions. Am I comfortable that the bags that I'm holding will withstand anything that's about to be thrown at them? And like the questions that you want to be asking then is, if Solana actually is a security, do I still want to be holding it versus, something else? If you're right, then all of a sudden you could make 10, 20, 30, 40x, right? But if you're wrong, it's not going to go to zero, but it's going to go lower than it is today. So then the second question you got to ask yourself is, how much of this is already in the price? Because remember, if it's already in the price, then you will be selling at the bottom. So you got to ask yourself, how much of this shit is already in the price and how much of it is not in the price already? And those are the two questions that you need to be asking yourself. And if you you want to look at your portfolios now, and you want to eliminate all the noise and all the bullshit and all the garbage and all this community crap, and say, like, listen, I'll tell you one thing. Cardano doesn't give a shit. The token doesn't give a shit whether you're part of its community or not. You know what I mean? Like, no one really cares. It has no sentiment to you, right? So the idea is to say, take a real look at your portfolio and ask yourself a question and say to yourself, is this token actually going to survive? And is this token really going to be used in the future? Now, I can say for sure, Bitcoin is definitely going to be used. Ethereum is definitely going to be used. Okay, like I can tell you that almost for sure. What about the rest? So I'm not looking at any other token. I'm saying, what Cardano, will it actually be used in the future? And if yes, if you say yes, it is, then you got to ask yourself, well, why do I believe that it will be used in the future? And you got to really be able to answer yourself devoid of all these emotions that we have to why we like these tokens. You know what I mean? And Solana, you say to yourself, will it actually be used in the future? Yes or no? And that's how you got to look at your portfolio now, because there's no saying that these tokens are all going to come back. We are facing a massive attack. We are facing a massive attack from the SEC. Right now, Bitcoin is not under attack, so Bitcoin's a very
Ryan, will you just have a look at your internet? I don't know why. It's been a few freezing points.
Let me jump off and jump on. Let me jump off and jump on.
Okay, cool. I'll go through some charts in the meanwhile. So guys, it's crazy. It's crazy out there. But one thing that I know is I can see all of a sudden tons of FUD happening at once. And we're at that point now where it's uncomfortable. I even have the whole team now wondering, like, whoa, are we going to zero? Like, is there a lot happening? I can feel it within the whole office. I can feel so much of the emotions getting there. So I know in an emotional point of view, we are getting to that crazy uncomfortable stage again. But now there is, especially when I hear these things of this USDT, now that's what I want to speak to Run about actually. What could happen there? What could someone actually know? Because if something does go down within Tether, and I think that's a big one, what could happen, Run? What could they know that we don't, of why it could possibly be depegging right now? What do you think could happen for that, for people to, like, what could this inside information, if you would say, be? And if so, on that scenarios, like, is this something that can bring this whole market down a lot more? There's no doubt about it that I believe in Solana. There's no doubt about I believe in these projects. I get what you're saying. Do you believe in the project? It's about, can we be ahead about knowing that maybe there is another 70% crash happening? As much as we believe in the tokens or not, and we believe they'll be worth it then, how do we prep ourselves for that? And what are we looking for that? Because they all on support right now. And that's the thing. I believe it. Everything you're saying, I believe, bro. I believe the tokens. It's about, do I want to withstand a 60%? Do I jump into Bitcoin now? Like, that's a big thing. And that's why I'm asking you for my long-term. I'm a trader. I trade a lot in the day. But my long-term portfolio now, it's like, whoa. BNB goes to $80. MATIC goes to 25 cents.
Yeah.
AVAX goes to 5. Like, it's crazy.
You got to ask yourself a question. Like, again, like BNB. What's the upside of holding BNB? Walk me through this. If you're buying BNB today as part of your long-term portfolio, can you tell me what is the upside?
The only care that I have about the BNB token is it's connected to Binance. And if it does drop that level there, like, what does that mean for Binance? If it does drop this and this happens, like,
tell me what's the upside. Why would somebody be holding BNB today?
BNB, I agree. I think it's not a great trade at all.
I'll tell you what the downside is. The downside is DOJ attack against CZ, which, we don't know what that means. We could get Binance banned in a couple of countries around the world. Chances are Binance is going to be a much smaller exchange in a couple of years relative in size to what it is today. Do you want to be holding that? I don't know. I mean, maybe you do. Maybe there's a good risk reward there for you. But for me, it's like, I don't see a point. Someone here is asking, like, let me give another example, like HBAR. Cool. Like, can you tell me what the reason is to hold HBAR? Who's using it? What are the killer applications? Where is the VC capital? Probably, I don't know. I'm not sure that you're going to find the best answer there. That's what I'm trying to say to you. This is not a time to be, we're part of the community, rah, rah, rah. Now is the time to look at it and say, really, why are people actually going to be using this, or why are people not going to be using it? And make sure that you only hold tokens that allow for it.
So do you think we're at that phase of the market now where the truth's going to be shown for those that really make a difference and that really make do you think it's this sort of phase now where it's just like this complete depression phase and the truth comes out. Maybe that's why BNB has been overvalued, maybe. And that's why it might go down to these levels. I do think Solana, what is your thoughts at your head with Solana at $14 right now? I'd love to know what you're thinking. I know you're a big Solana lover.
I'm buying, but there is a chance that it's going to be a security. I mean, I am buying it because I think that it's going to be in the long term, it's definitely going to be. But that doesn't mean that I'm taking a risk because I believe that Solana is a good chain. But I'm very comfortable in the risk that I'm taking. Now, you got to say, are you comfortable in taking that risk? If you're not comfortable in taking risk, buy Bitcoin, buy Ethereum. There is risk, but there's less risk.
And something like AVAX, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah.
Last line support now. If this was the time to buy, like, and then things go from here, RSI's at the bottom, like.
Do you think AVAX is going to survive a US regulatory attack? Do you think that AVAX are there enough people using AVAX? Yes or no? That's a question. Answer that question for yourself, and then decide whether you want to buy this or buy it or not. That's basically what it is.
And your thoughts of it?
I'm not a big AVAX fan. Why? Because I don't really believe in the sub chain models that they've got, and I don't believe that we need an EVM chain that is actually off Ethereum. But maybe I'm wrong in my assumption here. I just don't see a reason to hold it.
So if you had $10,000 right now, what do you do?
Depends on
my 5 tokens. Would you spend 5 now and wait for 5 in case for worst scenario? Yeah. How would you trade that now?
I'd start layering in.
You'd start laddering in.
I'd start laddering in.
Okay. So your thoughts on this token? Because we've spoken about it many times. I think we have Thor chain sitting at around 70 cents or something like that. 78 cents. We've obviously been a believer. Well, what's your thoughts on this token?
I think it's cheap. I think there's better technology that is going to replace it, because I think it's the V1 of the technology. I still hold a position, but I do think it's V1 of a technology. And now I think we're moving into like V3 and V4 of the same technology. So I don't really believe it. I mean, I have got some, but I reduced my holdings a lot.
Okay. And something like, the reason why I'm just going through a few tokens here, so you can just explain what are people looking for. You saying, will they survive? Will they this? Something like Phantom. What's your thoughts on Phantom sitting at 24 cents right now?
So Phantom, you're betting on Andre. We know that Andre is in Phantom. Do you think that Andre is going to do something amazing? Yes or no? We know Phantom's got a long runway. So yes. So you're basically betting on Andre. It's a bet on Andre. That's what you're doing here. Is it my biggest bet? No. Do I have a bet on Andre? Yes, I do. I have a bet on Andre because I think he will do something amazing at some point.
Amazing. Something on 1 or 2 more. Yeah, MATIC. 60 cents now. This is one of the better tokens that obviously did really well in the bear market, considering the rest. There is a possibility of this bad boy coming to 30, if not slightly lower. What's your thoughts on MATIC?
I think it's about fairly priced. I think if it were to go lower, and when I say lower, 30 cents, I'd probably pick up some.
Amazing. So you would say...
I think MATIC are the masters of noise, but I think if you actually use their tech is not the nicest tech to use. Like if you use MATIC and you use Solana is much nicer to use.
Okay, amazing. So you would basically say, because now you got an option, everything is cheap. So if you got that 10K now, would you say 5 really good tokens that you think could do it now?
I would start. I'd definitely start putting money in. Definitely.
Amazing. And just get rid of the noise. But like we're saying, and I think it just after this you can jump if you want. This is the phase where the truth's being told, right? This is the phase where if the ones are truly fundamentally and they are going to make a difference, they're going to have to survive this because the truth's about to show. This is like the last squeeze that could happen. Do you see? And last question for you: Do you see Bitcoin going new lows? Is there something in your head that says something can play out for Bitcoin to make new lows?
No, I don't see it.
Nothing.
They're going under 15,000. Listen, I'm going to jump. I'm going to start prepping for
Appreciate
my show.
My brother. Appreciate it. Guys, go watch RUNE show. Join there. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Cool. So let's get back in here quickly and let's speak about where we're at now quickly on the charts. So like I said, we do have Bitcoin at the moment sitting on the support. For me, last line of support right now for us to get a bounce soon within the next 2-3 days. We're sitting at this area over here. Anywhere below here, like real FUD starts to kick in. And that's something that I'm just being aware of. Now, guys, we don't want to fall in the trap of selling on a huge dump off. Like it's about where do we respond to this? Where do we get on the response? And then it's time to offload. So I still want you to use the mentality and what you've learned throughout this journey that bounces is when we change, because you still got to get into that thing. If you just change now and things like that, you might be shooting yourself in the foot at the bottom. So what I want you to pay attention to is I want you to draw this main daily trend line on Bitcoin. I spoke about the possibility of a 24K test. And the reason being is because we have the $25,000 level, which is the 200 weekly moving average. And that's where majority of the world, when we're sitting at 30K, is saying that's where I want to buy it. And it made sense to me that if it came down there, we got everyone that wants to buy 25K, that they're going to wick it down and they're going to go slightly lower. And that's exactly what they've done. So 24K, we're not so surprised of where we're at, but this is definitely where we want to hold. Now, what we want to see by the end of this week, if not end of next week, is we want to get back above 26K and back above that 200 weekly moving average. Very important. Now, guys, I am currently trading short time frame. Yesterday, I was so grateful to have stops again. I put my stops at entry. FOMC came out, brought me down. I now have a lot of new entries. I think at the moment, it's such a nice little range that we're trading at the moment, where it's quick in and out. And I think this is a great time for you to be trading. Like at the moment, I'm in a very small AVAX position, and I'm literally just trading these small ranges as things speak, because I think now the market might go a little bit lower today. I think 24K is going to hold. And then I think, but it's very important, weekly close at the end of this week. And we want to see where we close that level to see, is this big scenario of the possibility of a BNB going down to these major levels. BNB is on the 200 weekly moving average right now. This may be, and for me personally, I'm deploying $100,000 on my long-term portfolio today, and I'm just loading some up. I do have more money for the lower entries if that does happen, but I'm at that point now where everyone is so bearish and there's so much negativity and so much FUD happening right now. I think if something comes out with Tether now that everything's fine and everything is good, I do think we're going to have a reaction. The RSIs are showing that we are getting to these major levels. So what I want you to do is, I would say that trading and having a little bit of fun right now with a small account is good. It will keep you warm, but I don't want you to go make crazy decisions with your long term just yet. As the same with me. I still have a lot of small caps. I still have a lot of these things. But for me, we are literally on support right now. And if we make the mistake about getting out now, and we do end up having the bounce, because I want to go back here again. Look at Ethereum. Guys, Ethereum's back at 1600. We're sitting on the 200 daily moving average right now, and we're sitting on this trend line as things speak. You know, everyone wanted Ethereum at 2K. Now it's sitting at these levels again. So for me, if we do end up buying any of these supports right now, why I'm not too concerned is because if we end up closing below this over the next day or two, there will be a slight test, and there will be therefore a warning sign that another huge crash is coming. And this will be the area of where we can change our portfolio, prep for it if it happens or anything like that. But other than that, you have all these weekly RSIs and everything, and the daily RSIs getting to the bottom. And this ultimately could be the very great entry to just come and test first trend line, if not go attempt the highs yet again. So we've got a crazy FUD market at the moment. But again, guys, I didn't go fully through the bear market last time. But I can definitely see the emotions now. I can definitely see the fear. I can definitely see the uncomfortability. And I've learned to trust the uncomfortability and to trade that when that actually happens. So if we have a look also at one or two more things, as in the dominance. Dominance is just hovering here at the moment. And I had this little drawing over here of what I think it might do. And if this does bounce and we do have this 53%, why would we have such a huge spike within dominance? Either it is the loss where Bitcoin literally rampages down to 20K quick because we have a CME gap, and that trend line is the one that's going to help us with that. That may be, but that means this scenario plays out. That means that we literally have the scenario of all of these alts losing this major support over here. And you can see things like Solana make its way down to the areas of up to $4, if not the lows of the $8 sort of area. You can have the MATICs coming down to 30 cents. You can have the AVAX going to $5. You can have Cardano. Look at Cardano's gap over here to 7 cents. We've got a 7-cent Cardano. So if that plays out, yes. But the dominance is trying to tell us something. It's telling us that there's going to be strength within Bitcoin. So either it is the bad scenario of where the SEC comes down on these alts, everything plays out that 30-40%, which I do think will recover at some point. I'll be prepped to buy those lows. I think those are life-changing lows if you can get those areas. Or what we're having is a reset here and a very strong Bitcoin bounce. And from here, you'll literally have this dominance rampage probably up for the next 2-3 weeks again and end up testing the 53 to 54% move and then get diversified into Ethereum and that. So what we're going to do today is I want you to breathe, have a little bit of fun in the shorter time frames if you want. By tomorrow, we should have a good idea of a bounce or a loss of that trend, and we can start strategizing. All I want to say is you go through all these different emotions within the market. I think we're getting to that squeeze point. What RUNE is talking, it makes sense to me, but it also doesn't make sense to me. It's basically saying, will it change the world? Will it survive this? Yes, I know that, but if there's a 70% drop coming, I want to take advantage of that. And that's why, as much as you have the fundamentals, I appreciate the fundamentals very much. But if I have a trend line that's being lost and it's telling me that there is a 40-50% possibility, I want to act on that and not just have what I think it will survive. It will survive. You know, we want to act and take on that. But what he is basically saying is this is the time where the real stuff shows and the fake stuff all gets flushed out, which means this may be a little bit of time sitting in this area of this depression phase, this really hard phase, but we do know we're going to the end. We still, I think we're 10 months, 11 months away from the Bitcoin halving. You know, this should be the restart of the cycle very soon, guys. So stay mentally strong. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be giving trades. I more just wanted to get the view of where we're at with this USDT thing. What's creating this FUD? What's creating these drops right now? And we'll see where we end up tomorrow, and then we'll take it from there. So have a fantastic day. Stay strong out there, and I'll see you all on tomorrow's show. Much love, Banter fam.